Okay, welcome back to the sweet, simple videos of sweetness. We're gonna start this, to understand. This page is not actually for what I'm gonna do for it. I just need a clear picture of the spine because I want to draw some things for you guys. And to start, we are actually, to give some background to this, we're going to talk about the spinal erector muscles. We're talking about that they have different sections and subsections, right? So what we have to start with, you have superficial to deep. Okay, that is just not very clear at all. Okay. The deepest muscles are going to be your suboccipital muscles. That's the deepest. The most superficial are going to be your spinotransverse, I believe. Hold on. Let me not get this wrong for you guys. Yes. Spinotransverse muscles. Then the next level is going to be your erector spinae muscles. And then the next level would be your transversospinalis muscles. So there's the 4 different levels, essentially going from superficial to deep. These are all axial muscles, meaning they are on the axial skeleton. Thusly, this is why I needed a axial skeleton. And so we're going to try to do this as cleanly as possible because I have layers and layers to go through, and they're on both sides of the spine, but I don't necessarily want to make a mess of things. So to start with, I wanted to start with the deepest muscles, which would be your suboccipital muscles. Suboccipital would be right below your occiput. Where's the occiput? Right here. Occiput. I don't even know how to spell that. It's okay. You guys know what I'm talking about. Occiput. There you go. Occiput. Beautiful. Pay no mind to all this stuff over here. You have 4 different muscles in the suboccipital muscles, but we group them together as the suboccipital muscles. To remember these, though, you have rectus capitis posterior minor, rectus capitis posterior major, obliquus capitis superior, obliquus capitis inferior. So, I'm going to give these to you guys. Please take notes on them. They're right here. These first 4 sections here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember these, and you will do fine on your final and also in life because you need these muscles. Very important muscles. They help with vision, which you guys need vision on this right now, and can be a really good head extensor muscle, which means you're bringing your head back from flexing the neck to straightening the neck. So there's that. They're deepest in all of these muscles, and I'm going to try to draw some simple versions of these muscles here. They're all attaching here at the base of the skull. Okay. So I am just doing my best here, living my best life. Basically, this looks like a mess of red, though, so don't be weirded out. But that's basically essentially what they're doing there. And maybe I should give you guys even a better image of it. Beautiful, right? Okay. Back to vision. You're going to learn a lot about how to work these muscles with craniosacral because you need to relax these in order for you to actually move the occiput. So, pretty important stuff. The next group, so we're done with the deepest group. We're going to move up towards the transversospinalis group. Now, this is going to be one of those crazy things that I'm just going to have to try my best to draw with. And the next muscle is going to be called multifidus, okay? So, let me try to find a good spot to write this. Multifidus. Multifidus. Multifidus, they call it multifidus because multi means many, fidus means parts. This muscle is actually made up of a lot of different parts, and it kind of looks a little bit like a saw, but that's just because it's a bunch of different muscle fibers that the anatomists kind of got lazy with, and they just said, oh, this looks all connected, we should just call it multifidus. And down here it attaches at the sacrum. It's deeper than a lot of the back muscles. It's probably the deepest to the spine, right? But this muscle does extension of the spine and rotation because the fibers are diagonal. And the extension is obviously if you're bending over or you're flexing your spine, this is just going to bring you right back up straight. So it's on both sides, but to keep things simple, I'm just going to kind of fake draw that in there because I don't want to put too much color on the page. Multifidus, easy enough, right? Okay, the next one we're going to do is still part of the transversospinalis group, which is going to be semispinalis. 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 Semi means part, and spinalis means of the spine. So semispinalis, this muscle is just going to go halfway up the spine, and it's going to look something a little bit like this, all the way to the occiput. I'm going to do it on one side. It's obviously on both sides, but that is what's going to help extend the head and neck, and also helps with rotation of this area of the spine as well. So I know with all these colors it's going to be a little bit crazy, but it comes up and attaches here at the base of the skull, and it's covering those, what do you call those things again? Suboccipital muscles. So these muscles, they're going to get covered as well by other muscles. Then I would just want to make sure we don't go crazy with it, right? So those are the two muscles that are going to be in your transversospinalis group. I'm going to make a note of that right here. We have multifidus. Perfect. Moving on to the erector spinae muscles. These muscles are a little bit easier to memorize because you can put it into like a little anagram, if that's what it's called. I think it's called I love sushi. So you have iliocostalis, longissimus, and spinalis. And these muscles, they are covering the muscles that we just discussed. So again, we're going to get a little bit messy here. Maybe I should just get a whole new page, but starting with spinalis. Spinalis is going to be the closest of this group to the spine, and it covers this big, large area of the spine like this, and then kind of goes up through here, again attaching to the base of the skull. So there's that. I know, goofy looking. It's the best we're going to get, though. So this also does extension of the spine. Just remember that. Let's see if I can use this one. The next one is going to be longissimus. longissimus. I think it has two S's. Longissimus because it's a really long muscle. Definitely not the longest in the body, but they were like cutting open the back and they're like, dang, this muscle's really long, dude. We should call it longissimus. So a lot of it comes from the attachments down at the base of the sacrum, but it strings up along through the ribs here and kind of does a little bit of wrapping and then attaches here at the skull. So again, this one's closest. So this would be the sushi, this would be the longissimus, which would be I love sushi. And then, so if I were to draw it on this side, it would definitely be on the outside of that one. And this does extension of the spine as well. And then jumping on over, I'm gonna use the little light blue color. Hopefully we don't get lost in the rest of it. Is iliocostalis. This one is, how do I say this? Furthest from the spine in this group. And this muscle is, if the orange muscle's over here, it's going to be even further. And it's going to be attaching to all of these ribs and then up onto the cervical spine. So there we are. Comes down and then attaches down here as well. So those three muscles here, I'm just gonna do it on both sides because it's a little bit easier. I know, you guys. I know. Iliocostalis. That name simply means ilio, meaning the ilium at the hip. Your hip bones come and attach here. And then this muscle actually comes and touches and attaches there. My bad. And then the costalis would be your ribs. So iliocostalis. These three, I love sushi. That's a good way to remember that. If you don't love sushi, think of Superman, sandwiches, basically anything you want to help you remember. Okay, now we're jumping up to the most superficial of the spinal erector muscles. The first one being splenius cervicis. Splenius cervicis. Splenius cervicis. And this one is pretty simple. It's superficial to all these, right? So it's going to be on top. So this is going to be a little bit messy. Attaching at the, what do you call these things? Vertebra, at the cervical region. Comes spinning around here and attaches down at this section here. I know you guys have to deal with this. Splenius cervicis. These back extensors are crazy. Okay, and then finally, to cover everything on top, basically you have your splenius capitis. Splenius capitis. Splenius is like a bandage or band, and then capitis is your head. This is going to attach right on top here. Most superficial of all the erector muscles, and it's going to come across in this V shape. So there you are. We have just color vomited all of our spinal muscles that are attached to the axial skeleton on this page. So all of these are going to do extension of the head and the spine, depending on where they attach to, right? A lot of them are going to do rotation because they're diagonal fibers. That helps with rotation. These muscles are important, so I want you guys to remember these. You have your different layers. Splenius capitis, cervicis, longus, iliocostalis, longissimus, spinalis, semispinalis, multifidus, and then at the very deepest, your suboccipital occipitals. Okay, that is my simple explanation of the spinal erector muscles.